Hey everybody, in this video we're going to talk about the west side of Indianapolis a little bit today, and actually specifically Hendricks County. So it's a place I feel like that gets overshadowed quite a bit, and the suburbs and towns that are in the county because of some of the other suburbs and counties around Indianapolis. But if you're looking west side Indianapolis, or the suburbs on the west side, Hendricks County, it has a lot to offer. So we're going to go over some of those things and what you can actually find there in this video today, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Compton with the Compton Home Group. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Indianapolis or Hendricks County and the suburbs there, or any county or suburb surrounding Indianapolis, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video each and every week. Now, we get reach outs from people all over the country with questions about Indianapolis and of course all of the suburbs that surround Indianapolis as well. So if you have questions at all about any of Indianapolis or any of the surrounding suburbs, then don't hesitate to reach out any way that you know how. We'll always have your back with those questions, and we'll certainly have your back when it comes time for you to make your move to the Indianapolis area. So like I said in this video, we're going to talk about Hendricks County some. And when people are researching Indianapolis or some of the suburbs that surround Indianapolis, there are some that pop up almost all the time. They're super highly rated, like Carmel, Fishers, both on the north side. But then you've got a couple of other suburbs up that way that are incredibly nice too, like Zionsville or Westfield or Noblesville. But they're all on that north side of Indianapolis, and sometimes that location isn't really perfect or conducive to a good day-to-day type of lifestyle for a person. So if you're looking for something more on the west side of Indianapolis, there's some suburbs over there that honestly they're just completely overshadowed by some of those northern suburbs. And there are a lot of differences other than location between the suburbs on the west side in Hendricks County and the ones on the north side, like Carmel, Fishers, Westfield, Noblesville, Zionsville. Big differences other than just that location, like I said. So we're going to get into some of those things and as to what those are, but I can tell you right off the bat, in Hamilton County, where all of those suburbs are, like Carmel, Fishers, Westfield, Noblesville, Zionsville's in a different county, it's in Boone County, but Zionsville's a little bit different regardless anyway, but the other ones, they're just flat out bigger than what you have over in Hendricks County. So there's a lot more people, they're just a lot more crowded, and it's a little bit busier. So Carmel and Fishers especially. Carmel's a little over 100,000 people. Fishers is almost 100,000 people. So right there in those two cities, it's already so much larger than anything that you're gonna find in Hendricks County. So let's get into Hendricks County a little bit and just talk about what you're gonna find there and what it might be like to live over in Hendricks County. So first of all, Hendricks County, how populated is it? When you compare it to some of the suburbs that overshadow all of the other ones in Hendricks County, Hamilton County on the north side, where Carmel and Fishers are located, there's 340,000 or so people that live in that county. So while for one county that's truly not all that many, when you get down into Marion County, where Indianapolis is located, and you're talking close to 900,000 people. So of course, it's a lot more dense. And in Hamilton County, when you get really far north of Westfield, it gets much more open, and you have all kinds of really small towns like Tipton or Sheridan, or places that are even smaller than that. So there's a lot of open space once you get way out in the northern part of Hamilton County. But Hendricks County, out on the west side, the entire county itself only has about 170,000 people. And it's kind of the same. The closer you get to Indianapolis, of course, the more people you will find, because that's where some of the suburbs are located, just on the outside border of Indianapolis. You get further west in Hendricks County, and it's going to become a little bit more sparse. And you'll have some smaller towns like Pittsboro and Danville, which are fantastic towns, but much, much smaller. And then it gets really sparse as you get further west. So a lot of open land, a lot of farms, of course, and just space. But focusing on those suburbs, just on the outside of Indianapolis, especially if you're working in Indianapolis someplace, even downtown Indy or the west side of Indianapolis, these could be a good fit for you as long as you like the lifestyle that they provide. So of course, one of the big things that I hear from a lot of people when they're moving to the Indianapolis area is their families, and they have kids, and they're concerned about the schools. So they hear about some of the north side suburbs like Carmel and Fishers, Westfield, Noblesville, and the highly rated schools that they have there. Well, on the west side, in the suburbs there, which from the northern part of Hendricks County is Brownsburg, and then just to the south of that you have Avon, and then just to the south of that you have Plainfield. They all also have very highly rated schools. Lots of great reviews. When you look on niche.com, where some of these reviews actually come from, they all get an A rating, which is pretty incredible. The big difference, I'd say, between the schools there and on the north side, I didn't go to these schools, so I don't have a personal experience with them, but I'll say that the ones in Hendricks County are marginally smaller. So, that could be a pretty good fit for a lot of people. When you take a look at a place like Carmel, Indiana, great schools, highly rated schools, some of the best in the state, but there's one high school, and then that makes it the biggest high school in the entire state of Indiana. So there's over 5,000 kids that go to that school, and that may not be a great fit for every single kid out there or every single family out there. So when you go to a smaller school, like over in Avon, Plainfield, and Brownsburg, you might have a little bit more opportunity for you as an individual. It might be a better experience for you, but of course that's a completely subjective thing. But just know that the population of those schools, it tends to be a little bit smaller. So if that's a fit for you, that's perfect. That's fantastic. Now, a little bit about each of those suburbs, and we'll go from the north to the south, just to get you familiar with them, just to at least a little bit. But on the north side with Brownsburg, just speaking of schools, this is one of the aspects of Brownsburg that I really like. Of course, Brownsburg has a lot of other things to offer. It has a downtown area, a historic downtown area that's actually gone under some renovation, some improvement to make it a little bit more of a place for people in Brownsburg to have them want to go to it, with events and some restaurants and just places to visit and places to use as part of that cultural hub for Brownsburg. Plus, Lucas Oil Raceway is located in Brownsburg, so if you're a racing fan, then you probably are a little bit familiar with Brownsburg already. We know that Indianapolis is racing capital of the world. We've got the Indianapolis Motor Speedway there, but Lucas Oil Raceway is kind of the drag racing capital of the world. And that's not that far from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it's located right there in Brownsburg. But the Brownsburg schools, nearly all of them are centrally located in Brownsburg. So it kind of doesn't matter where you live in Brownsburg, on the north side, south side, east side, west side, you're going to be fairly close to the school that your kids go to, which is pretty neat. So it cuts down on any commute time, or it cuts down maybe a little bit on the amount of time that your kids are going to spend on the bus if they actually use the bus to get to school. So it's one of the things that I do like about it. Now, moving to the south, just a little bit south of that, you have Avon, which I would say is a very sneaky suburb. It definitely flies under the radar quite a bit. Now, it's known across the country in some different publications like Money Magazine. It's had it as the 17th best place to live in the entire country, and I believe that was in year 2017, but it's highly rated for things like schools, employment, quality of life, just all the variables that make up the quality of life. It's sandwiched right there in between Brownsburg and Plainfield. And Avon, I'd say, is a fairly quiet suburb, and it's easy to keep it fairly quiet in Avon. It's very residential. It has going through it, it has Rockville Road, US 36, which happens to be one of the busiest roads, I'd say, pretty much in the entire Indianapolis Metro, and it's very commercial. Pretty much everything you could ever possibly want is located right there along US 36, but it's easy to get away from it and live in a neighborhood that's relatively quiet and extremely residential. So it's a place that's kind of known for that, for sure, and being able to have that ability. Then you get a little bit to the south, and you get into Plainfield, is the biggest of all three of those suburbs in Hendricks County. Population for Plainfield is about 35,000 or so, and if you go up to Brownsburg, it's roughly 27,000, and in Avon, it's a little under 20,000, so not quite over that 20,000 mark. So Avon happens to be the smallest of the three, but Plainfield is a pretty interesting place. That is a neat place because it has several things. Number one, it kind of has two city centers, two downtown areas. One, it has an old historic downtown, which US 40 goes through. The traffic through there isn't all that great. There's 25,000 cars or so that pass through that particular part of Plainfield every single day, so it seems very busy. But it also has the shops at Perry Crossing, which is an enormous outdoor mall, which actually has a little bit more than just shopping there. It's a little bit of a Plainfield's hub where they can have some concerts, they can have some gatherings for the public just in that particular area. And it offers opportunities for that, at least for people who live in Plainfield, not just in Plainfield. You could live in Avon and come down to the shops at Perry Crossing and experience something like that. But there are people that come from really all over Indianapolis to go to the shops at Perry Crossing because the shopping there is pretty good. You have a lot of options for sure. So they have that, but then also probably close to 50% of the warehouse jobs in the entire Indianapolis Metro located right in Plainfield. If you're on the eastern edge of Plainfield, you'll notice tons and tons of distribution centers and warehouses. There's over 45 million square feet of space in all of those, and it's expanding every single year. Now, the biggest reason probably for that is Plainfield's location, its relative location to Indianapolis International Airport. It is just off the eastern edge of Plainfield. So if you live in Plainfield, your access to the airport there is phenomenal. If you're a person who travels a lot around the country and you need an airport very close by, Plainfield could be a pretty good place for you. But in addition to all of those things that kind of make Plainfield stand out, it has, for a suburb, one of the best trail systems that you're gonna find in a huge area around here. It is very well connected, and you can get to a lot of the different parts of Plainfield through that trail system, either on your bike or walking if you want to. Of course, some of the walks would be fairly large and long, but you could certainly do it on your bike. And it has a phenomenal number of sidewalks that are connected to a lot of those trails. So it's a city that has its head on straight for sure. It's a town that has its head on straight as far as its pedestrians and experience of living there is concerned. And Plainfield is definitely on the up and up. It's a place that is going to be probably even better and really more attractive in the next 10 to 20 years as well. But it is an absolutely phenomenal place for a lot of those reasons. Now, one of the other cool things that if you're living in any one of these suburbs or the west side of Indianapolis is the fact that they all do feel a little bit smaller. They certainly are physically smaller than some of the other suburbs. Even if you look in the south side in Greenwood, Indiana, which is 60-ish thousand people or so, it's a very, very big city just to be considered really a suburb. So if you're living in a place like Avon with under 20,000 people, or Plainfield, which is right at 35,000, or Brownsburg, just a little bit smaller than that, do you feel cut off if you need to get into Indianapolis? And the truth is no. Actually, from any one of those suburbs, Brownsburg, Avon, or Plainfield, sometimes it can take less time to get to downtown Indianapolis, or certainly just Indianapolis in general. Let's say to a place like Eagle Creek Park, which is very close to Brownsburg. And Eagle Creek Park, it's one of the biggest municipal parks in the entire United States. It has about 3,800 acres of space in the park, which is gigantic. It's got a reservoir there, which is about 1,400 acres or so, which is huge, and it's not residential, so it's beautiful all the way around it. Plenty of trees, and you can sail, you can row. They have a beach there. It's not, a beach like the ocean, or the beach isn't exactly gorgeous or anything, but it is a beach, and you can go and play there during the summer. The kids can play there during the summer, but a really, really super cool park with lots and lots of things to do in it. So it's an advantage living near something like that. But Brownsburg, Avon, and Plainfield are very well connected to Indianapolis. So you've got I-74, which runs right up through Brownsburg. You also have I-70 just on the south side of Plainfield, and it happens to be Super 70. So it's a million, it seems, lanes wide, and the traffic through there right next to the International Airport really is almost never that bad. I mean, it can get a little bit heavy from time to time, but traffic moves through there very, very well. So those interstates can get you to 465, which surrounds Indianapolis, and get you just about any place else that you possibly need to go. But I-70 runs right through downtown Indianapolis and is usually pretty easy to travel on. Plus, you've got, going through Brownsburg, US 136, which is Crawfordsville Road, another very commercial and a lot more traffic and stoplights, but it's well connected to Indianapolis. And then you've got US 40 from Plainfield, going right through the downtown area of Plainfield, and eventually leads its way right through downtown Indianapolis. US 40 is Washington Street in Indianapolis, and US 40 is considered the national road. So you can go really far west on US 40, you can go really far east all the way across the state of Indiana on US 40 as well. But then through Avon, you've got US 36, which is Rockville Road, another very, very busy road, lots of stoplights, very commercial, but it is a connection there between Avon and Indianapolis. Plus, it's extremely easy to get from Brownsburg to Avon, or Avon to Plainfield going to the south, or you can go back to the north very, very easily as well. So if you've got something that you need in one of the other suburbs, you don't have it in yours, you can pretty easily travel to and from. So Hendricks County, it has a tremendous amount to offer with some really cool suburbs that are highly rated, just oftentimes overshadowed by some of the other suburbs around Indianapolis. But if this location is a good fit for you, it's something, at least those suburbs are places that you should consider looking at. I think that they've got a lot to offer, along with just all of Hendricks County and the fact that it's not overly crowded like some of the other counties might be getting surrounding Indianapolis, especially Hamilton County on the north side. It's a great place, but it is certainly more crowded than some of the others. So if you have any questions at all about Hendricks County, Indiana, or any of the suburbs that are located there, then make sure that you reach out any way you know how. And until the next one, we'll see you later.